This is how Sophie Cunningham turned the pressure surrounding Caitlin Clark into an opportunity that extended far beyond the WNBA. 1 month before her surprise appearance at UFC 329, Cunningham described life beside Clark as a full microscope times a million. Then, over 1 weekend in Las Vegas, she showed exactly what she meant and how she planned to use it. On Saturday night, Cunningham entered the Octagon as a surprise guest ring card holder in front of one of combat sports' largest audiences. According to Dana White, the decision was made only 8 minutes before she appeared. Less than 24 hours later, Cunningham returned to her regular job and buried 6 three-pointers as the Indiana Fever demolished the Las Vegas Aces, 109-75. Those 2 appearances were not connected by strategy. The UFC cameo did not cause Cunningham to shoot better the following night. Together, however, they revealed something important about the Caitlin Clark era. Clark's spotlight does not stop with Clark. It can reach teammates, opponents, coaches, and anyone prepared to stand inside it. Cunningham understood that before this weekend began. She had been preparing for attention long before she reached Indiana. The Phoenix Mercury selected Cunningham in the 2nd round of the 2019 WNBA draft. She entered a locker room featuring Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner, 2 players whose careers had already placed them among the most recognizable figures in women's basketball. Playing beside them gave Cunningham an early education in visibility. Phoenix attracted crowds. Its stars generated headlines. Cunningham saw how attention followed established names and changed the environment around an entire team. That experience still did not prepare her for Clark. When Cunningham later described joining Indiana, she said the attention was times a million. Every post, reaction, inside joke, and passing interaction could become a public discussion. Even Indiana's newer players were surprised by how closely people watched them. Cunningham's response was revealing. She acknowledged that the scrutiny could be difficult. Some players could not handle that level of pressure, she said, and there was no shame in that. Constant attention can turn an ordinary mistake into a controversy and a private moment into public property. But Cunningham also drew a clear distinction. A player could see that attention as a threat, or she could see it as an opportunity. She chose opportunity. Not only an opportunity to receive passes from Clark or compete beside Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, Cunningham saw a chance to introduce herself to people who might never have watched her in Phoenix. She could use the basketball attention to express her personality, connect with an audience, and build something that remained identifiable as her own. That approach matters because attention cannot be transferred automatically. Being Caitlin Clark's teammate guarantees that more people will see you. It does not guarantee that they will remember you. Several things had to happen before Sophie Cunningham could walk into UFC 329 and be recognized as more than an anonymous basketball player. The largest moment came in June 2025. During a heated game between Indiana and Connecticut, Cunningham responded after J.C. Sheldon committed a hard foul against Clark. Cunningham's retaliation triggered a confrontation and 3 ejections. The images traveled far beyond the game itself. Cunningham emerged from that moment with an identity casual viewers could understand immediately. She was Clark's protector. She was physical, direct, and willing to confront anyone who crossed the line. That label was simplified, as viral labels often are. Cunningham was already an experienced WNBA player and a dangerous perimeter shooter. Yet the incident gave millions of viewers an immediate way to recognize her. In 2026, another gesture strengthened that identity. After an incident involving Clark and Phoenix, Cunningham's finger-pointing reaction became a meme. The gesture was easy to copy, easy to circulate, and closely attached to her personality. By the time she arrived in Las Vegas for UFC 329, she had become more than a familiar face inside the Fever lineup. She had a visual signature. That became crucial on July 11th. UFC 329 was built around Conor McGregor's return against Max Holloway at T-Mobile Arena. McGregor had not competed in 5 years, making the card one of the promotion's highest-profile events. Cunningham attended, while Indiana was in Las Vegas for its game against the Aces the following night. She did not arrive with a carefully announced role. There was no week-long promotional campaign introducing a WNBA crossover appearance. Dana White later explained that Cunningham walked in, saw the Octagon, and said she wanted to walk around it. White's answer was immediate. Then she was going to walk around it. 8 minutes later, Cunningham entered before the co-main event between Paddy Pimblett and Benoit Saint-Denis. She carried the round card around the octagon and recreated the finger-pointing pose that WNBA viewers already associated with her. The fight lasted only 52 seconds, so there was no second round to announce. Cunningham had one walk and one chance to make the appearance count. She did. The deeper significance was not that a WNBA player held a card at a UFC event. Celebrity cameos happen across sports. What separated this appearance was how little explanation Cunningham required. She carried a recognizable gesture from a WNBA game into a different sporting environment. The UFC audience could understand the personality even without knowing every part of the basketball history behind it. That is how crossover recognition develops. It begins with borrowed attention. The audience may first encounter a player because she shares a court with Clark. But borrowed attention lasts only as long as the original connection remains interesting. Converted attention is different. It occurs when the audience begins recognizing the teammate's voice, behavior, appearance, or story independently. Cunningham had started converting that attention. Her UFC appearance also demonstrated why her earlier comments about pressure were so important. She did not pretend the Clark microscope was comfortable. She accepted that it was powerful. That distinction separates her from players who might want Clark's audience without wanting the consequences attached to it. The same audience that can build a player's profile can examine every missed shot, comment, facial expression, or social media post. There is no switch that allows someone to receive only the favorable parts. Cunningham's solution was not to control every reaction. It was to keep behaving like herself. At UFC 329, that meant asking for the opportunity when she saw it. It meant stepping into an unfamiliar presentation with only minutes to prepare. It meant carrying a basketball meme into the octagon instead of pretending to be someone disconnected from the reason many viewers recognized her. Then came Sunday night. Indiana still had a basketball game to play. The Fever entered Michelob Ultra Arena to face a Las Vegas team led by A'ja Wilson. Cunningham's UFC appearance had created a wave of attention, but none of it could make a three-pointer for her. This is where the weekend could have become a hollow celebrity story. If Cunningham had struggled, the UFC moment would still have circulated. Critics, however, could have dismissed the episode as another example of spectacle moving faster than substance. Instead, Cunningham produced one of her strongest performances of the season. She scored 20 points and tied her season high with 6 made three-pointers. Kelsey Mitchell led Indiana with 27 points. Aaliyah Boston added 19 points and 11 rebounds, while Clark recorded 12 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 24 minutes. Clark also became the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 600 career assists, accomplishing it in 72 games. Indiana won by 34. The balance of that performance explains why Cunningham's story works better than a shallow claim that she suddenly became one of the WNBA's 3 largest stars. There is no credible measurement establishing Cunningham as a top 3 star. Recognition cannot be ranked from a handful of viral posts, and one UFC appearance does not place her beside every established name in the league. The stronger conclusion does not require exaggeration. Cunningham has become one of the clearest examples of a teammate converting the Caitlin Clark spotlight into an individual identity. She has done it without pretending that Clark's influence is irrelevant. That honesty is part of the story. Cunningham openly described the scale of Clark's attention. She recognized that joining Indiana would place more eyes on her work. Rather than resent that fact or obscure it, she treated the environment as an opening. The basketball performance ensured the opening did not swallow the athlete. 6 three-pointers changed the meaning of the weekend. Cunningham was not a celebrity visitor returning to the bench after a publicity appearance. She remained a player capable of punishing Las Vegas from behind the arc. This is also why Clark's 6 assists mattered within the same game. Clark's impact has often been discussed as though attention and basketball operate separately. One conversation focuses on ratings, crowds, and headlines. Another focuses on passing, spacing, and Indiana's offense. For Cunningham, the 2 effects overlap. Off the court, Clark brings the microscope. On it, she bends defensive attention and creates chances for shooters. Cunningham joined Indiana knowing both forces would be present. Her own words connected them. She described the opportunity to build her brand, then immediately mentioned the players around her and Clark's passing. That is not a player choosing publicity over basketball. It is a veteran recognizing that modern sports careers are constructed through both. The danger is assuming every teammate will receive the same outcome. Clark's popularity cannot manufacture a personality. It cannot force someone to pursue outside opportunities, and it cannot guarantee that a player will perform when the ball arrives. What it can provide is exposure at a scale few WNBA environments have previously offered. Cunningham supplied the rest. She already possessed a direct personality, a recognizable visual style, and enough comfort with public attention to act spontaneously. She also had years of professional experience before she became a regular subject in Clark-centered discussions. That experience is easy to overlook when a player appears to become famous overnight. Cunningham did not suddenly learn to shoot in Las Vegas. She did not become outspoken because Dana White invited her into the Octagon. The UFC appearance revealed traits that had been present throughout her career. What changed was the number of people watching. That is the Caitlin Clark effect Cunningham understood. It does not mean Clark deserves credit for every teammate's accomplishment. Cunningham made those shots. She built her relationship with White. She asked to enter the Octagon, accepted the role, and gave the audience a moment it could remember. Clark's role was to alter the scale on which those choices could be seen. That is a more interesting form of influence than a simple popularity ranking. It suggests Clark's arrival is not producing only one enormous individual brand. It may also be creating an ecosystem in which other players can become more recognizable, if they know how to use the attention. Cunningham's weekend offers a clean case study. First came the pressure. She joined a team where every detail could be magnified. She watched newer teammates discover how exhausting that environment could become. She admitted some players would prefer to leave it. Then came the choice. Cunningham decided the microscope could expose possibilities as easily as it exposed mistakes. She treated attention as a resource, while accepting that it would never be entirely comfortable. Next came the crossover. She entered a different sport's largest stage with 8 minutes of warning and brought an existing piece of her basketball identity with her. Finally came the proof of function. She returned to the court and scored 20 points during a 34-point victory over one of the WNBA's strongest teams. None of that makes her more important than A'ja Wilson, Angel Reese, Nafisa Collier, or the other established figures shaping the league. It does not require her to become a daytime television host or predict what her career will look like after basketball. The weekend established something more immediate. Sophie Cunningham is no longer recognized only for standing beside Caitlin Clark. She is becoming recognizable for how she behaves once the attention reaches her. That distinction will matter as the Clark era continues. For 2 years, much of the WNBA's public conversation has been framed as a struggle over who deserves the attention Clark commands. Cunningham offers a different response. She does not ask the audience to look away from Clark. She gives that audience another reason to remain after it looks in her direction. This can strengthen Indiana and the league at the same time. A larger audience becomes more valuable when it discovers multiple players, stories, and personalities. If every new viewer remains interested in only one person, the growth is fragile. If that viewer begins recognizing Boston's interior control, Mitchell's scoring, Cunningham's shooting and personality, or the stars across the opposing bench, the initial attention begins to spread. The responsibility cannot rest on Clark alone. Other players must convert their moments when they arrive. Cunningham converted hers in an octagon, then converted 6 more from behind the three-point line. There will be future games when the shots do not fall. There may be appearances that generate criticism instead of praise. That is part of the same microscope she described. Her weekend in Las Vegas does not prove she has conquered that pressure forever. It demonstrates that she understands the bargain. Visibility creates scrutiny. It also creates access. On July 11th, Dana White needed 8 minutes to place Sophie Cunningham inside the octagon. On July 12th, Cunningham needed 6 three-pointers to remind everyone why she was in Las Vegas in the first place.